Hey there everyone, Paler here, and welcome back to Dark Souls Ripped Episode 9. So this one and the next 3 episodes are going to be post-commentary. Unfortunately, my audio track screwed up again. Got the in-game audio, but not the voiceover. So yeah, that's all going to be post. We'll see how it goes, but it is what it is. So, end of last episode, we had gone through the dark route, out through the garden area, messed around with the Covenant out there a little bit, and I left you guys off with just showing that I was going to go ahead and farm a bunch of souls, which I did. I farmed about 42,000 souls, which was enough for me to go ahead and get my level for my vitality and my endurance up to 18. I also picked up 12 Titanite shards from Andre. My plan was to go ahead and level up our armor a little bit in order to reinforce this Eastern armor we're going to use. Unfortunately, there was a oversight that I missed. So we come in here to the blacksmith to level this up. The Eastern armor actually uses twinkling Titanite, not regular Titanite. So this comes from the twinkling Titanite lizards that we've gone, and we only actually had 2 of them. And so I put one into my helmet, one into my chest, and then I realized, oh crap, I can't do any more. Whereas the Elite Knight set is regular Titanite shards. I still haven't decided which armor I'm going to wear yet. Regular Titanite shards, large Titanite shards, they're acquirable in bulk. They're easily farmable, but they can also be purchased with souls. Twinkling Titanite is a finite material, and generally I'm going to use Twinkling Titanite for leveling up weapons more so than armor or the occasional shield, which I guess is technically still a weapon. So it just does leave us with this debate, like, do I want to put that much Twinkling Titanite into armor? Now, I need to double check this on the wiki, but off the top of my head though, things that use Twinkling Titanite, they max out at 5. So they don't go quite as far, but it also means you need less to max them out. So at least for now, we're going to continue to wear the Eastern armor. It looks pretty cool. You know, it's working. In terms of its stats, it's right up there with the best that we have. I just don't know if we're going to keep it in the long term. It just doesn't leave us with too much. What I'm also looking at here now is, so since I have all that twinkling, or all the Titanite shards, what am I going to do with them? You know, I don't need, well, it wouldn't hurt to hold on to them, but what I am going to do is, I want to do a little bit of test, as we're going to be going out into an area in the next episode, I believe, where a bit of a faster weapon would be nice. We have the Claymore already, which is pretty good, but what I wanted to pick up was a few of the other swords here that Andre sells, just to try some things out. Looking at the broadsword compared to everything else, we already have a straight sword we have a long sword in our inventory. But we'll pick up a bastard sword and then one of the battle axes, just to see how things go. Use up a little bit of these souls that I have left over, but if we find one that we like, we then now have enough Titanite shards in order to get it up to +5 without too much problem. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we will pick up a battle axe, and then we will also pick up a bastard sword as soon as the footage gets up to what I remember actually doing. I forget what I was actually saying here. Yay, post. I think I might pick up a broadsword also. The broadsword's like a longsword, a little bit better strength scaling though. Let's go back up top here. I don't know why I go back up top, but we go back up top. Actually, it's so we don't accidentally hit Andre as we try this out. My intentions was going to be to try and use the axe as a different weapon. You know, this is the bastard sword right there. A lot like the Claymore, a bit faster. You know, it is a little bit of a shorter blade than the Claymore, a little bit lighter, so it does unwind a little faster, and it does have good sweeping cuts, but it's a lot like the Claymore. It really isn't much different than the Claymore. Whereas the long sword, you know, we at least hold that at a mid stance, and that's even faster. While the actual attacks are the same, the long sword definitely does vary from the Claymore a lot more than the bastard sword does. And then we have the battle axe down here now that we got. And the battle axe I am not a fan of right away. The main thing is there's no backswing, right? So you swing out, that's the heavy attack right there, that's the R2. But if we do the R1, even in succession, there's no backswing. So you swing, and then you reset, and then you swing again, and then you reset. It's kind of limited. There are some axes with dual heads on them, even though this one kind of, if you look on it, on the backside has a little bit of a dual head as you'd swing back. you don't actually use that. And I think that's a big downside for the axe. Some of the other axes, I can't remember how many of them are in Dark Souls 1, but in Dark Souls 2 definitely they really expanded on it, where the axes have a rear head. This is now just looking at the Claymore compared to the Bastard Sword. And the Bastard Sword is notably faster, but is it faster enough with the exact same move set that do I want to level up a Bastard Sword in addition to the Claymore? And my decision is no. So for now, the Bastard Sword and both weapons we just pick up are going away. I'm going to run down here and just reinforce the Long Sword up to +5 with those Titanite shards I picked up originally for my armor. And you'll see this weapon is going to come in handy in the next few episodes. Do we use it? We actually do use it a little bit in this episode. But not very much, but a few things in this episode we use it for, and then we jump back over to the Zwei, which is still my go-to weapon of choice. So, what's on the docket for today? Well, I'm going to spend a little bit of time running around trying to find a bottomless box. So the bottomless box is exactly what it sounds like. It's a storage item. Whenever you rest at a bonfire, you can go ahead and you can place items into the bottomless box just to get them out of your inventory. So whenever you go ahead and whenever you're trying to switch weapons around or whatever, rather than scrolling through 20, 30 weapons, you're scrolling through 3 or 4. You know, I can get rid of a lot of the daggers and the broken sword hilts and stuff that I'm never going to use on this playthrough at least. We might use the broken sword hilt. We might craft that out because that's to make Artarius' sword. There's a really nice sword that you make. I forget off the top of my head. It uses one of the broken sword hilts, but you gotta level it up a certain way. We will dive into that. But that's the bottomless box is nice for that. There's a point where you're actually able to vendor that stuff. So once we unlock the serpents, we can get rid of some of the excess items that we have for souls. It's not a great return, like generally 100 or so souls if I recall correctly, but you might as well get rid of them. So yeah, I definitely want to get a bottomless box. Unfortunately, the easy person to get it from was the first vendor we came across, the guy that we got the Uchigatana from way back when, but he's dead now, so we can't get it from him. We will pick one up, not this episode though. So here what we're doing is we're going to be preparing to head back to the Undead Asylum. And in order to do this, we need 2 things. First, we need to get up to the crow's nest, but we also need a key, and the key is actually on the roof here. So we're going to go do this pattern twice now. We hop off onto that landing, and then we roll. And the key here is when you go to get off, not here, this last one that we did, but the one off the lift, is to roll. When you go across the gap, if you try and jump it, you're likely to miss. It's not undoable, but you're likely to miss. If you just roll, though, it seems to be set up where a roll just takes you perfectly and then you don't fall off. We're going to set our spawn to the Firelink Shrine just in case we roll off the edge and die. But now we want to run back up here and jump on the lift again, and this is going to take us out to the Undead Asylum, which is the starting area. Now, although we started there, when we go back, it is a bit different. It does have some higher end level enemies. There is a boss in there that we will take on, and we finally have the HP to take him on. But I'll explain that as we get a little bit closer. So yeah, here we're going to hop back off, and you can do that from either side of the lift, the right or left side. Come out here, get turned straight on, and roll. Roll at the end, and you'll land nice and safely. Make sure that you pick up that key that I picked up before. You need that. What we're after for here is the Rusted Iron Band. That's one of the key items we're going to get out there. And it's a ring that's going to help down in the depths a lot when we get down there. Not the depths, Blight Town. Alright, so now the crow's nest. We're going to curl up in the crow's nest. And for some reason, well, whatever reason, the first time you do this, it takes a while. So just go ahead and once you've curled up here, just let it sit here for about 20 seconds. Eventually the crow's going to pick us up and take us back out to the Undead Asylum. After you've done it once, you can come and go much faster, but generally you don't need to do it more than once. So yeah, we're going to head back out there. When we do get to the Undead Asylum, there's going to be some hollows with torches, and that'll be the first time we actually take out and use the longsword. Here we go. Coffee. And here we are back again. So yeah, don't expect this area to be a pushover, depending on what you have. If you have a fairly significant strength weapon like the Zweihander here, or something else like that, this area is not too bad, though these guys right here, this first 4 will rush you down with these flame torches, and these are like some of the higher level hollows. These are similar to the guys that we ran into down at the bottom of... down where we fought the dogs, I forget what it's called, and got let the sorcerer out. So see, like that one guy just barely nicked me with fire, and he took off 10% of my health, a not insignificant amount. As we come in here to where we originally fought the tutorial boss, the key is don't go into the middle of the room. Stay off that central floor area. What we want to do is we want to clear out some other stuff first, but the boss is actually below us. Whoops, hit a stone pillar there. Yeah, this guy's coming across. You can see I don't want to go into that middle too far. And where we're standing now, we're perfectly fine, as long as you're just not out in the middle of that floor. Come out here and we'll rest at the bonfire. So we have 2 Black Knights we can deal with. There's also a Ghost Spectre type thing we can deal with. And then there's the boss we're going to do. First, we're going to take care of the Ghost Spectre. And he's actually the Spectre of the guy that we originally got the S's from, so he's the one that let us out of the cell. So he's right in here where he died. What we're going to do is we're going to get him to come out. We're going to run up here a little bit, trigger the ball trap, which will hopefully roll down and hit him. There we go. And then we're going to unload on him with number 2s on our Y, try to keep him, or R2 on our Y, heavy attacks, try to keep him stunned. So this guy is wearing full plate mail. He's got a heavy duty shield. If you're using a dex weapon, he can be quite a problem. We're able to pretty well flatten him with the Zweihander. It just weighs that much. But if you are having problems with him, he will follow you down here. So bring him down here to the courtyard where the bonfire is. And you can move around and you can use backstabs. So that's the thing. If you have a dex-based weapon, bring him down here where you can circle strafe him, get a few backstabs in, and that'll help. And that does drop a crest shield, which is basically the same thing as our dragon shield, except with boosted magic damage compared to the fire damage. So like swap the fire and magic damage, and that's the crest shield. But that is handy to have. Would have been good to have versus the Moonlight Butterfly, though. She didn't turn out to be much of a problem, if we recall. Beatrice absolutely wrecked face. So now we can head down here, and we're going to go after the, Peculiar Doll. So this is an item, it's optional, but what this will do is this will give us access to an optional area later on in the game. What I'm here talking about is, so that water right there is a little bit deeper. If we wanted to, we could go around and we could get the rusted iron band. So what the rusted iron band is it a ring? And the only thing it does, in knee-high water, it allows you to move with the same speed you would on regular land. So, for example, we're going to be fighting this Black Knight right here. Depending on what weapon you have, again, if you have a dex-based weapon where you can't really go toe-to-toe with him, you're not going to knock him back like I just did there with the heavy swing, and I completely whiffed that one. Well, then you can kite him back up to where that water is, and you can try with the rusted iron band on, you can move around in it at normal speed and try to get some backstabs in. Because in this narrow hallway, this guy can be a pain in the butt to get backstabs in. But this is why more than makes up for all of that when we can just power through them without a problem. And then that item right there in the back, it's going to be the Peculiar Doll. So, like I was saying, this is an optional item, but having this will give us access to a special area in Anor Londo. And it's an entirely optional area, but it does give a lot of souls. So you go in, and when you come back out, the difference can be 15 levels, give or take. That's the boss right there. So that's the Asylum demon. I think that's what he's called. Something demon. That's the boss right there that we're looking at, but we'll be back to him in a moment. Go ahead, head back up top, and rest to recharge our health so we don't waste our little bit of Estus. And then we got one more Black Knight to fight, and then we can get the rest of Iron Band after a little bit more trash. The Black Knight, this actual next Black Knight, we could skip. We don't need to fight him. He does drop a Titanite chunk, red Titanite chunk, which is used for upgrading, I think, fire weapons, if I recall off the top of my head. So once you've imbued a weapon with fire damage, I believe that's what the red ones are used for. So we're going to try that. We also have a chance at his weapon, his shield. So for that reason, we want to get him. He's right down here, just on the left as we come around. So I'm just trying to coax him out. Try to trigger his AI. There he goes. Now he's moving in. And we'll just power through him again. So while we work through this last little bit, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming boss. The upcoming boss isn't too bad, with the exception of you take a significant loss of health just entering the zone. And it's kind of frustrating. But basically you have to fall into the zone, and falling into the zone is going to take off about half of our health. After that, he has this ranged attack, so he swings his weapon out and puts it into the ground, and about a second and a half after it hits the ground, it sets off a large AoE explosion with a radius of about 30 meters, give or take. So if you fall in and you don't have much health, you land, you're at half health, then he swings out this attack, and if you haven't had a chance to put some distance between you or him, depending on which attack he goes into first, you can find yourself quite low on health very quick. So that was sort of why we held off on coming out here until our health had been moved up. Ideally, we would actually be at 20 vitality, 20 endurance before we do this, but 18 should be enough to survive it without too much of a problem. But that's really the key. It's the first 30 seconds of the fight, when you first fall into the room, taking that fall damage, avoiding his ranged attacks until you can get, or his AoE attacks, until you can get healed back up. And then from there, it becomes pretty straightforward, a circle strafe fight with the demon. You're going to move in on him. Now, his big AoE that he can do out at range when he swings his weapon out, he can also do it in close. So you just watch for him to like stab the spear into the ground. And when he stabs the spear into the ground, you just want to back off. It's really a fight about maintaining your stamina. Use the windows. You'll have windows to move in, and depending on the speed of your weapon, here's the ring we're looking for, by the way. Rusted iron ring right there. For some reason, I thought there might have been an item down here on the side that we never got it originally. There does not seem to be. I can't remember if there is when you first come through. Maybe it's gone. Probably not. There's probably never an item there that I can think of. But for some reason, I thought there might have been one. Anyway, what was I saying? So, you know, depending on the speed of your weapon, move in, get 2-3 attacks, watch for him to ram the spear into the ground. When he does, make sure you have enough stamina to get away from him. And the AoE blast actually extends out a little bit, maybe 5 yards beyond where the, not quite 5 yards, maybe 5 feet. 5 would be 15, 5 yards would be 15, yeah, more like 5 feet beyond where the end of the visual stops. So you just got to keep that in mind. You can't charge back in too soon. You got to make sure the visual's kind of gone away, and then you know you can move back in to attack. Excuse me. Hiccups a little bit. So we're just going to kill these guys. To begin this fight, I want to come to the far end. This is the end that we came in from, not from the bonfire, but from the bird's nest. Because the boss is kind of right below that entrance, so we don't want to fall and land with the boss at our back very close to us. So we're going to come from this end, and here we go. We're going to fall. If you do a plunging attack, it does seem to reduce the damage a little bit, but you can see already our health's down at halfway. So there's the attack. He swung out. Oh, that wasn't his big explosion. There we go. We got our S's off. Here comes one. So there, he threw it out, and there's the explosion. You saw it. I didn't get far enough away from it to avoid it. But we're above half health, so we're okay. Oh, there it was. That time we did get far enough away. Now that we've closed the distance on him, we're okay. It's getting that distance close. Once he starts doing his attacks from there. There's the attack. So he's reared up. He's going to jam the spear down. There goes the AoE explosion. I put some distance. I'm not going to bother using my shield for this. We probably couldn't use the crest shield instead of the dragon shield for the extra magic resist. But instead, I'm just going to dual wield and go to town on him, and this way we can do more damage with the single attack that we're going to get off. So we're going to bait out one of his little thrusts, and then move away. Here's the next thing he'll do is he'll hop up in the air. When he does hop up in the air, just roll as he's coming down. Put yourself into iframes. While it's generally not going to hurt you, it will stagger you, and then from the stagger, he will move right into a quick attack. So you just want to roll as he's landing, that way you avoid the stagger. And this works well. He hops up, you roll. I didn't roll there. Oh, it didn't stagger me. Oh, I would have expected it to stagger me. There goes the thrust into the ground, so we put some distance. We wait for the visual to dissipate before we move in. We get an attack in. He's doing it again. We get away. There was far enough away. And we rinse and repeat. Hopefully he'll jump up in the air, and we can do that. There is one point here where we let him get us a little bit. But this is mostly, once you've gotten it down, it's just an endurance fight, depending on how much you can do. You can see we're doing 280, 250, 280 a hit, which is taking his health down 5% here or there. There we go. So there was one I didn't roll, and you see I got staggered. It did a little bit of damage, not much, but it's more the stagger that's the problem. Here comes another thrust, back in. But at this point, once we got past that initial start off, where he's throwing it out at range, then things become pretty easy. You got to just have enough HP to survive that beginning, though, which is really it's not the challenge. It means you don't want to come back here too soon. Completely whiff that attack. Yay. There we go. Roll, hit him. Then start circling again. Oh, here comes the spear thrust. But yeah, this guy's pretty easy, and we will get a reasonable amount of souls from him. Worth killing, you know, for that. I think we also get a demon, some type of demon. Nope, I'm thinking the tail of the dragon from the next episode. So that's... Forget I said anything. I don't think he drops his weapon, not as far as I know. So yeah, this one, when we finally finish this guy off, we're basically going to be finishing up this episode here. So the next episode, we still have, oh wow, we still have quite a bit of time. So what did I do after this? Oh, I went looking for the, bottomless box. That's what happened. Right, he's almost dead. One more good heavy hit should do it. Oh, nope. Oh, get him. There we go. Got a little greedy at the end there, but finished him off. Titanite slab. That's why you want to kill this guy. I forgot about this. So when we loot him, humanity, homeward bone, great. But then we pick up the item on the ground, Titanite slab. So Titanite slab's the largest Titanite piece you can get when you're upgrading weapons. So without doing any type of change over to like an elemental, so we're not doing fire or holy or anything like that, but if you just straight up upgrade it, it maxes out at 20, right? So you use Titanite shards up to 5, then you use large Titanite shards up to 10, then you use Titanite chunks up to 15. Actually, I think Titanite chunks go up to 19, but the very final one, in order to go from 19 to 20, you need Titanite slabs. And there's only a few of them that actually come in the game. That's one of them there. There's one other later on that are guaranteed drops. Now, there are enemies that are down in part of the zone that we'll get to later on in the game that they can drop them, but it's a rare drop rate. Like, you'll get one out of maybe every 50 of them you kill, and they only spawn about 8 at a time, so you spawn 8 of them, go kill them, and you'll get a lot of large Titanite shards. But then you have to go back, reset them, respawn them again, and keep doing this. And about every 50th one, maybe, you will get a Titanite slab. So the Titanite slabs are very rare. That's why we did want to kill that guy for that item there, more so than anything else. Yeah. Now we're just going to make our way back out to the bird's nest. We'll have the crow take us back over. On the way, we will take a quick stop over to the small bird nest. I was just seeing if they would trigger. They didn't for some reason. I'm not sure why. So what's going on here is, once we get past these guys, there's a little bird's nest with 2 eggs in it, off on the side here. We showed this way back in episode 1. And what'll happen is, if you drop an item there, they will give you an item in exchange for it. What items drop in exchange for what other items? Best thing is go to the wiki. But there are certain particular items later on, tied with the DLC, certain dark sorceries and stuff that we can get from this. This is that nest out here. Normally they talk to you. They give me. Maybe I'm thinking that's Dark Souls 2. I could have sworn they would talk to us. Maybe we're hollow though, and we need to be in human form. I'm not entirely sure of that. But they didn't say anything. Since I don't remember what items to drop there and what not to drop there, for now we're gonna hold off. We can always just come back now that this is triggered. And the crow will come right away. So we're actually, I think we'll cut this episode a little bit shorter when we get back here to the bonfire. I'll just tell you what I did. I ran out to Andre. I was looking for the bottomless box. So I ran out to Andre to see if he had it. He did not. I talked about how you could get it from the guy that had the Uchikatan. It's 1,000 souls. It's something to have if you want to just manage your item inventory a little bit better. After that, I actually went down to the sorcerer blacksmith. So that was the guy down in the cell way back in the very beginning. He's down the lift below us. So I went down there to him. I gave him the sorcerer's ember. So we picked that up 2 episodes ago or 1 episode ago. That came from out in the woods area. That was in the chest that was being guarded by the big mushroom people. Again, you don't need to worry about where You don't need to worry about giving the embers to the wrong blacksmith. Only the correct blacksmith will take that ember. So that ember from that blacksmith, what will happen there is if you take an item up to +10, you can then enchant it for sorcery, I think is what it's called. But when you enchant it for sorcery, then it gives better scaling based on int, which makes it good for an int-based character, right? So rather than having like, if you can have like a longsword or whatever, and it maybe has CC, strength, dex scaling, what it'll do is it'll take them down to like D, maybe even F scaling, but it'll give you like B scaling on your intellect, which will really boost your damage on that as an int-based character. But that's basically where it's going to end up. I'm going to run out here to Andre, I'm going to look at his inventory, I'm going to run back down to that guy, give him the ember, we'll come back from there, and then I head back to the bonfire from there. So, yeah, that'll do it. Until next time, this has been Paler. Thanks for watching.